And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's make way and make some noise. Did you know that the journey to becoming a politician is very costly, especially for women in rural areas like Kamuli, where the main source of income is subsistence farming? Going by numbers, money seems to be a critical factor in joining the political race, and this seems to be a bigger barrier to overcome since most women in Kamuli are poor. In Kamuli, at district level, there are 10 women represented, 10 women at the municipal level, and 104 women at the sub-county level.
Munambo kituufu sente diri kudemera abakyala bangi okwengiza mu byobufuzi.
Thank you very much, ekyo kituufu. It's really true on my side. However, I don't know on other people's side. But according to where I come from, in the sub-county where I come from, where my leadership is being practiced, yeah, money is really a big problem that is hindering women to join leadership. Women's earning in the village is quite very low and very poor. Most women go farming, and they always farm with their husbands. And during time of harvest, the men try to turn away their back from the women, and they sell off these properties, they sell off the things that they worked for together, leaving the women barehanded. Hence, women are financially low.
I mean, let me ask Joy, how much does it cost to run for political office? Okay, let's say at the sub-county level.
Sub-county level. It takes approximately 15 million.
15 million shillings? Yes.
You don't compile it at the beginning, but as the process goes on, you find yourself you have spent 15 million. Because first you have to show interest. Wayeta bo abajja okunoonyeza akalulu wayogera nabo abo ba campaigning agents okubafulumyamu olina obawa amafuta kupangisa piki okutambula kuliya then bw'ovaawo electoral commission okwewandiisa kwona sente olina okuba n'abantu abakuwerekerako n'okwiduzaamu nomination papers okubita mu miruka nti Nakyasa Joy yesimbyewo olina okuba n'abantu abakwiduliza ku mpapula edo kyona kyenda sente oba wa sente then okuwerekerako then at home buli lunaku olina okutegekawo kyayi w'abalonzi abaida okukyalira emmere aba n'abaawo awo ni process eyo ng'otandiza then bw'otandika okufuluma out buli lunaku okutambula kyalo ku kyalo olina okugyako n'akasente wesanga nti abakyala especially mu bakyala abali ku obukosefu wesanga nti kabiri kizibu ino okuba ng'ovaayo.
Honorable Apili, let me ask you, you said your husband funded, when we were talking earlier, I talked about your husband having fully funded your campaign. And we are trying to have a conversation around, the support of men, especially towards the women who would like to run for office. Can you just comment on that?
This also varies how you are related to your partner. A woman coming out raising up a head means you have a good relationship between you and your husband. There's love. It's not easy to expose your spouse outside, but there was love between me and my husband. He loved my decision. When I told him about it, he also realized that I have an ambition of leadership. So he fully facilitated me and supported me, either by hook or crook. He was by my side.
But most women don't have the same
Most women don't have that opportunity because they don't have love. Love combines everything. But in the village where I'm coming from, in my sub-county, a man is a man and a woman will never talk. A woman debates but does not make decisions. What the man says is final. That is the big challenge where we are having. Unlike me, for me, I'm different with my family, unlike other women down in the village there. And most men in the village don't have their own decisions. They always look
They go and discuss from
the bars, from the ludos, from the border states. My wife wants to come, and what should I do then? People will discourage him since he's not man enough to make his own decisions. Of course, this is how these women are also ruined down here. So I don't know how many men are out there who can really facilitate their women.
Honorable Nakyasa, do you have something to add?
Interject. nti apiri alina ebiseera bingi byateesaniiba one on one
Sure.
ezirayo kyali kuweereza ate besides all the husband is a pastor ndowooza mulibuwulira.
There's something I want to disagree. Eh?
Yes.
So I want to disagree with her somehow.
Let me make my point. Because they said it is a family. It is a happy family. They decide together, everything they agree. But here is a situation. For example, nze baze wange twali abakazi babiri. Ayi bwe nali nga ndi kwesimbawo ku bwakansala namukobera ku bukobere tiyampe waire ku myaka ba tizoke oba wesimbawo okola ki
Nja wesimbewo.
That is the relationship I'm talking about. Tikuli nti kuyikirizaganya kubanga wano oyinza okuba nga tiniwe gwasinga kwenda ayenda ole ino then too alifuna imeka how much is he earning
To support both families.
ono omukyala alina bindi alina abaana be bali kusoma iwe oli kwenda politics wena olina abaana bo so ebibiri ebyo okubita awalala wesanga nti bimena so omukyala wesanga wakoba oti let me struggle on my own
kasitandikiriza nti nje nesimbewo
then ambone you are looking for a future nti maybe ndafunayo akasente akandi nongere ku income gye tufuna mu maka yes that is it.
You wanted to say something really quickly before
I
we
wanted
get
to tell my sister Joy that it's not necessarily the ring that made us have a good communication. There are many people that have dropped rings and are having rings. Rings are just like viwumbe, like pictures. You know, I'm talking about the compassion, the love in the heart.
The understanding.
The understanding,
you and your
yeah.
partner.
You know, you may even be 10 women, but you might be the favorite wife of your what? Of your husband. So it's not necessarily the love, the ring, because I'm wedded. No.
So let's move back to the question of money. You are Leah. You're a community development officer for Kamoli. Essentially, the government has programs that are intended to help women become more financially stable. Why is, because from the look of things, it seems like those advancements that are intended or that are boasted about in the news are not necessarily happening down here, and might be the reason that we are staying behind with women involvement in politics, and yet there are funds intended specifically to empower women. So why are those two things not connecting?
I wouldn't say they are not connecting. They are connecting, but at maybe at a lower level. Because when you look at the support that the government is bringing in to support the women, it's quite commendable. That's why I would really appreciate this government, because before such was not there. But like you are aware, the population of Uganda is quite increasing day by day, meaning that we cannot reach all the women at a go. So the programs are running, and you know, we cannot evaluate a program after 1, 2, 3 years. A program should be evaluated like 5 years, 10 years, 15, like that. However, I want to assure you that the programs that government is bringing, especially the Women Entrepreneurship Program, is really empowering the women financially. And these women that are being empowered financially are coming up into leadership positions. When you say politics, I would consider leadership. Because there are many who are in leadership positions, but not necessarily in politics. But I want to say that the gender issues, the illiteracy, at the end of it all
Come down to money.
Come down to money.
I don't have money to go to school.
Yes, I don't have money to go to school. If you are illiterate, you cannot get a better job. Even if you have a job, you cannot even count your own money.
So you can't plan for it.
So you cannot plan for it, and therefore you have no money.
And therefore you have to give it to the husband who stopped in S.
If the husband is controlling, like the community, the society where we are living in, which is patriarchal, where men feel greater than women, in such a situation, most of the women will be only left to do minor jobs, and most of the minor jobs that they are doing do not lead to any income. You realize that a husband will wake up, go and ride a boda, come back in the evening with 6,000 or 10 or 10. The lady will remain at home, heap potatoes, go to the garden, grow, bring the cassava, bring the greens. When you compare their income in monetary terms, the lady is contributing more money than the man who is waking up every day to go and work. And for us, because we are looking at cash, we will assume that the lady is earning less than the man. Yet in actual sense,
She
the
has
lady
provided the food.
more.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Misaleo. Okatusimbewo okuku akati.
We have to go into a short break. Of course, you can share what your thoughts are on our social media. That's on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look for FASI, F-A-S-I, F-A-S-I, and you can let us know what you think. We'll be back in just a bit.
Isuka yewe mkagwa ali kutubona idukira nti oli ku program fast nkukoba bukobe nti bwoba oli kwenda okutweyunga ku bwoba olina kyoteesa bwoba olina kyowasubibwa jja ku social media page yaife ku Twitter otwagaanaku, ku Facebook otwagaanaku, ku YouTube otwagaanaku, typinga kigambo fast twidda kubaayo. We hear some ladies not going for politics just because baba baidi nti abasaada bajja babuuza their source of income. Still on that, tulina kyotutera okweta mbu sente daife ed'ekikazi. Tetwenda agema ku kasente kaife ako ak'ekikazi just because we know nti bwe tunaaba tugemye ku kasente kaife ako ak'ekikazi omusaada ayida kumbuuza nti ye ate eddo wadde toyirewa. Katutambule mu mutawuni yaife y'ekamuli tubone ekintu kino abantu baife bakyogere ku batya tukuba ku sente ed'ekikazi eddo dibeewo diveewo.
Yes.
No. Mbe.
Yes. That man has brought conflict in the families.
No. Kubanga ife abakazi batuwa sente dimala abaami baife.
No, because that man can be used to solve our small problems at home.
So we need to control ourselves by getting money for ourselves to get those needs.
Interesting opinions from our soapbox in an age-old culture where the man's money is our money and the woman's money is her money. Sente dechikazi. I'd just like to get reactions from what do you think, first of all, to start with, before we get into the fact that I don't know if you use sente dechikazi for politics. She said you have to plan early enough, so you start keeping away dechikazi so that you're ready for the next election. But what do you think about the general concept of Sente Dechikazi? Let's start with Leo.
Thank you very much. Women have been empowered to the level that if you are working and the husband is also working, we bring our money, plan together, and do things together as a family. But I think in most cases, they have been insensitive or not ready to learn that. They keep saying, okay, we are equal, the money for the husband should be shared, but what I've made myself belongs to me. To me, that is all about continuous sensitizing, such that our mothers, our sisters should know that when you are husband, wife, whatever you make, bring together and share.
Isn't it just a general lack of mistrust that if you put your money with the man's money, it's going to go into other things and your own ambitions and desires? For example, like politics, you say, look, since I've been also putting money here, can we get some of it towards my political ambition? And the man says no.
It can partly be mistrust. That's the reality. But I'm talking about the ideal situation. Because there are also situations where we have men earning less money and the wife is earning. I have a situation where I have a colleague of mine who is a deputy chief administrative officer, and the husband is a primary school teacher. Of course, the one is earning around 2 million. This one is earning something like 3,700 as of now. But still, there are situations where the lady will bounce certain bills to this poor man earning less money. Why? Because he's the husband.
Okay. I want to interject a bit.
Yes.
You see, it also depends. Because now, this is the situation. You have 2 wives. Now, you are saying, I'm the head. Should we assume all these women bring money together and you sit them down? Because at the end of the day, you will be like this weighing scale that weighs, I don't know, smany sugar. This one, pork. Oh, I didn't know that. So, someone will tell you, it is okay, you can look in the middle. But when it is like this, it is unbalanced.
Yeah, kubira.
Yeah, kubira. Because now, you have these 2 women. You are saying, let us put the resources together and we do something. Then at the end of the day, you go and introduce this one. Reach together. So, at the end of the day, we are gonna somehow, somewhere. Abasada badozi. Abasada badozi. Because for him, he will declare this one. But he will not declare the other money that he got somewhere. Anyway, you come wholeheartedly, you declare what you have. You were it out. Or reach together. 2, secondly, abasada is one person you go na kuboti ndilira kuna chifiche nkoko na kuko bati okwe dalabya. But when he's going to spend like 100,000 mobile in one day. So if a woman comes up na kubati kanoka sente ka chikazi. One, odakwe yagana nga agulira omwana stocks adija ku isomero. By that time when there is a crisis, she will buy books. Because for them, they feel so much. That's why if you ask, even if you ask these ones, that okufira omwana n'okufira abalofirwa ko, they will say omusada amalaga fana asigaza omwana.
Why? Lwaki tufiirwa mwana omusada nasigala n'antaamu owundi?
I'm telling you.
But let's move.
Lwaki omwana tafa? Omusada n'antaamu owundi yasigala.
How see why mind is so
Let's get to a minute. I really want to ask you, is this a culture? Because you interact with women in your constituency. Is this a culture you would encourage amongst the women in your community, that they should keep something for themselves? But also, do you really see a scenario where this becomes a source of income to help women vie for political office? Or is it too little, and does it go to too many other things, and therefore is not available for that?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to ask my brother to change his attitude towards women. It's a very negative attitude you're having, that a woman will instead lose a child, lose a husband,
instead
than losing a child. Change that attitude.
90%.
No, negative.
So.
I disagree with that. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank my brother, Leo, for the point he made, with the example that he gave us about the deputy cow and the primary teacher.
Yes.
That the primary teacher, the deputy cow would instead ask from the primary teacher.
Yeah.
But according to me, I always give advice and courage to my women according to the situation and the environment they are living.
Okay.
Like in my case, me personally, I don't have money for Chimeza. I don't have money at Chikaze. I have money for emergencies. I always tell that it is open.
He knows about that money.
It.
He knows it's aside. In case there's an emergency,
He
we
will
both
ask,
have access
Mom,
to that
send
money.
me that money you kept.
Yeah.
You see this? And how does this come? Openness and faithfulness.
Okay.
Whereby this has become so hard for our men in the village to be open and faithful to their women. They are not open financially.
Okay.
You even find a man hiding money under the underpart. Under the underpart.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm speaking facts. These are not stories made. We always counsel women. Akawa muna kweka man sente mumpale wale kansala. Omusada kweka sente. And when the woman sells money, yena akawa muna wankweka dide. Even he has encouraged women to start stealing.
So both of them are hiding money from
They're
each other.
hiding money. And this has encouraged women to start stealing. A man will come back and say, I don't have money.
And
The
she
woman
goes
will
and
begin
checks the trousers.
checking the trousers and cleaning the house, will come across 100,000. Why can't I chop off that? I say shut up. Avalo, not this is stealing and marriage. You see this?
Yes.
So according to me, I advise according to the situation.
Yes.
But I always tell my women to keep their money. And in fact, when you see these women keeping this money still comes back in the family. They don't do it with other things. Even they buy essentials. These women will dress the children. They will buy essentials that are missing. They even treat the children.
So it cannot be used for any
used
other
for any
political
big,
ambitions.
no.
It's about the money.
It is only
It's about the home.
essential. But
Yeah.
it cannot,
Sometimes
it is very
it is
small.
invested in her
Yes,
home,
yes,
the other family.
yes.
Which
Joy.
family?
Yes, me, I want to give a background like this, how it started. The misconception of the word gender. Gender means roles and responsibilities of a man and a woman, socially determined by the society. But when they were inviting to sensitize people about gender, to know a man does what and a woman does what. So, in a nutshell, the conception of the definition of the word gender, people bakifuna mu ngeri yandawulo kuba nti gender kitegeeza mwenkanonkano ekyo nekyasooka oleeta obuzibu mwenkanonkano gutya nti wemba n'akange musaada afuna edide zeena afuna edange mwenkanonkano twagayaga zeena alikungiza n'omusaada alikola ki alikungiza mperano omukyala ow'okukyalo kuno yabona nti omukyala asomyeku agabana like namukoso wa ali CDO agabana esente nono omukyalo wa wansi akati mwenkanonkano oli ali empowered ono tali empowered mperano no wa wansi wabana akantu ke atunze duuma yena yakoba kasente kange kachikazi nkafunye through sweat mperano omwami yadema kukoba akati ncholiko batwenkanankana wena gulako omuntu mu maka omwana bamubinze gula ebitabo ebyo ebyayidda mpano omukazi ono wabanga abalina akakaya akatiimu ono kikinga maako mujja mugula omuntu gwanusulusanvu n'agula omuntu wajja okwira guliwo ido n'akoba nti omwana ebitabo wako nti nzira sente zeena n'ataawo so ekintu ekyo kyajanga kitandiika omukazi yakati kankola akasente kange akaki ak'ekikazi kyova olibona amaka gafuire omukazi ali kufuluma wakiri ajja mu ka restaurant wale yanaaza esowaani yafuna nti olunaku bali mugabani enkumi meka ali kwenda abeeku n'akakenga akaki ak'ekikazi so ekintu kino kityo bwe kyayidda omuntu okuba nti zeena omukazi ndina okufinding all possible ways okuba nga ndi kubona akasente akange ono omwami ataanigiriza.
Well, thank you very much for your opinions, and thank you very much everyone who is watching us at home. Thank you so much. Of course, you can keep your opinions coming through. You can share your thoughts on the conversation. Our social media handles are FASI on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Of course, we'll be back next week talking about what actually can be done in this over-monetized political sphere to make it a fair, playing field for both men and women. You've been watching FASI. My name is David.
And
thank you so much for watching.
Hello, my name is Dr. Henry Dungu, a consultant in hematology and oncology. Health promotion and disease prevention programs focus on keeping people healthy. They aim to engage and empower individuals and communities to choose healthy behaviors and make changes that reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases and other illnesses. Join me on New Health Chat every Thursday at 9 p.m. on UBC TV, sponsored by National Medical Stores, who are mandated to procure, store and distribute essential medicines and medical supplies to all public health facilities in the country.
The Uganda film industry is something to look out for. I'm telling you, we are coming big time, and we are so ready with all our productions. We are going to mesmerize you.
Brought to you by
A very good evening. You're tuned into UBC TV. My name is Sophia Matovu and you are watching U Health Chat. I'm sitting in for Dr. Henry Dongo. Now, tomorrow is World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Day. I know when we talk about some of these conditions, the medical conditions and terms seem quite heavy. It's like a mouthful. Now, the show U Health Chat is proudly brought to you by National Medical Stores, who have made it very possible to ensure that we are able to give you a bit of health education. Here with me in studio to talk about these two conditions as we prepare to commemorate the day on Friday is Dr. Stewart Wamunkangu, a medical clinical officer and a representative of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Uganda. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay. And also is Dr. Michael Ogwal, a medical officer from Cure Children's Hospital, Uganda, and it's a hospital based in Mbale that are the experts when it comes to these medical conditions. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening. It's good to be here.
Okay. Now, first to start with, when we talk about these terms, you know, sometimes medical jargon frustrates patients. They feel like the words are so bombastic and so heavy. I would like to start by asking, because there are two conditions going together, I think, hand in hand. I would like to start by asking, what is spina bifida?
Spina bifida is a condition that affects the baby's spinal cord. Basically, what happens is that the bones of the spinal cord do not form as they should, and as a result, various contents of the spinal cord herniate, like push through the defect that's on the back. Some people call it a sac on the back. So you have various degrees of various contents herniating, pushing through that defect that's on the back. Sometimes it's just a defect that in which you don't really see anything, maybe just a tuft of hair. That's like the simplest form. The less severe form, what we call an occult spina bifida, it's hidden sort of. And then we have the most severe forms where you have your spinal cord and the coverings, that's the coverings of the spinal cord, which is to cover the brain, which we call the meninges, pushing through that defect. So you have sort of like a sac that's on the brain. So it's a term that basically portrays a spectrum of diseases that range from the mildest to the most severe forms.
Okay, so when we talk about this particular protrusion, is it flesh that protrudes? Is it part of that spinal cord that hasn't fully developed that will protrude? What is it?
So it's spinal cord that has protruded through, alongside with its covering. That is the form that we call the myelomeningocele, which is the severe, which is the commonest form, really. So what you would see is along the child's back when they are just born. You would have a swelling, sort of. Sometimes it would appear as though there is some fluid in it. Sometimes it's covered totally by skin, but all in all, what you have is a protrusion at the back of the child.
Okay. Now, I would like to get to Dr. Stewart. Kindly share with us what is hydrocephalus?
Thank you very much. Hydrocephalus, it's a term which originates from a Greek word, hydro, meaning water, cephalus, meaning brain or head. So the word hydrocephalus means water in the brain. And in this case, it's the cerebrospinal fluid, which is being made by the brain, which accumulates in the brain. Therefore, hydrocephalus, it's an abnormal accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid in the brain. Too much of it becomes dangerous to a human being. Here, what happens is the brain produces cerebrospinal fluid, simply that I make term water, every minute. So like in 24 hours, around 500 mils of this cerebrospinal fluid is being produced. So what we need to know is, as this fluid is being produced, it has to be absorbed.
Now, wow, first wait, when you say the fluid is being produced, it has to be absorbed.
Yes.
So where does it get absorbed?
It has to be absorbed, or it circulates within the brain and is absorbed within the body, okay? Through the spinal cord, and it's being absorbed, then passed out of the body in the form of waste. It may be in the form of sweat, it may be in the form of urine, but within the systems within the body.
Now, when you say that, Dr. Stewart, because since it's already being absorbed through the spine and passing out in form of urine or sweat, why does the child's head expand then?
What happens in hydrocephalus is because there is a blockage within the brain. So this amount of fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, which is being produced, is not being absorbed as expected due to various causes. In most cases, as a result of blockage within the brain, and therefore this fluid keeps on accumulating within the brain chambers, the one we may term as ventricles. So because the absorption is not equal to the production, it keeps on expanding with the ventricles of the brain.
Wow. Okay, that brings me to my next question, because since the fluid goes down through the spinal cord, how are the two, spina bifida and hydrocephalus, related? Because you choose to commemorate the 2 days together, the two conditions on the same day, gives me this impression that the two diseases must be interlinked or related.
True, the two conditions are related. You find that cases of spina bifida may lead to hydrocephalus. But hydrocephalus will not lead to
spina bifida.
Exactly. In most cases, just like Dr. Michael has been talking about it, it's an abnormal protrusion along the spinal cord, and in most cases they come when they are lacerated. So they may be infected. It's a wound which may be open. At times we're leaking cerebrospinal fluid, which is coming from the brain. So if like they have not come to the hospital on time, whereby they may be treated, put on antibiotics to kill the germs, to prevent the germs that might attach the wound and then ascend through the cerebrospinal fluid to the brain, then it means the infections may ascend into the brain, and it may cause blockage within the brain. There are incidences whereby we may have conditions like meningitis.
That is what I was about to say.
Exactly. Affecting the meninges of the brain. And
as well.
As well, children with spina bifida
have as well structural abnormalities, like developmental abnormalities within their brain. That would, for example, you may find that the passages of the cerebrospinal fluid that is supposed to cause what cerebrospinal fluid, this water that we're talking about, does. It's supposed to bathe the whole brain, and then within the brain in certain dilated blood vessels. That is why it gets absorbed before joining the rest of the system to be extracted, before joining the rest of the system. So some of these children have structural abnormalities. For example, you may find some passages are abnormally narrower than they should be, and that in a way impedes the flow of the CSF. Some literature reports up to 90% of the children with spina bifida eventually developing hydrocephalus. It might be lower. Our experience shows that it might be really lower. They generally have ventricles which are a bit bigger than usual, but that does not necessarily equal hydrocephalus. But yes, a child with spina bifida can develop hydrocephalus.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask, okay, for the person who is watching You Health Chat right now, sorry, some of the pictures might be a little bit disturbing, but it is our responsibility to try and ensure that you're knowledgeable about these two medical conditions. Now, I would like to ask, are the children born, of course, spina bifida, I believe it is obvious, one is born with it. But can somebody just develop hydrocephalus, or they are also born with it? And how common are these conditions here in Uganda?
It's actually quite common. From my experience, from surgical volumes, just at cure alone for hydrocephalus, for the past 5 years, our average has been about 880.
Wow. Just
in 2018 alone, we operated up to 951 patients with hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus, unfortunately, in our setting, the biggest proportion of it is acquired.
Acquired?
Yes.
Well, after, that is what I'm still like,
the kid is
acquired?
But afterwards develops.
So
how is my next question.
The percentage is high as well. I think it's important to emphasize that up to 60% of the children that we treat with hydrocephalus have acquired it. So it means they were not born with it, but somewhere along their development they got it. And in the majority of these children, what happens is they got infections that went to the brain.
What kind of infections? You know, because why I'm asking that, sorry to cut you short, why I'm asking that, it's become a common routine when we move to hospitals.
Yes.
I think we are drifting off so much of the malaria and the typhoid. Yes. One of the first routine tests the doctors would like to do is infection. They'll tell you the adult infection. Yes. So and so infection. Infection has become like a catchphrase. Yes. So what kind of infections are those that can lead to hydrocephalus? Okay, so
the kind that would ascend to a person's brain. When a child is born, they do not have as much protection between what's in the rest of their system and what's in the brain. It's a common story, for example, for the mothers that we treat at cure, for them, say, to have given birth at home, and under conditions that are not very hygienic, or different things applied, for example, to the umbilical cord, and those things in a way infections find themselves with the child's bloodstream, and once they get to the bloodstream, they ascend and go to the brain, and once they reach the brain, like Stuart was explaining, the CSF is supposed to be absorbed, but now when it reaches the brain and it has scarred where the CSF should ideally be absorbed from within the brain, it means the production is not going to match the absorption. The end result is going to be hydrocephalus, the post-infectious hydrocephalus, which is the bulk of what we treat. Wow. It's basically the commonest way in which these are acquired around birth. It happens in hospitals as well, but most of the time it's actually
from the when you go where they prefer to be with the traditional birth attendants. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? Because I believe if somebody is acquiring, like you said, it's acquired, parents should be helped to identify the quickest signs and symptoms before it gets out of hand.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. With the hydrocephalus, of course, you will look at the kid and you'll just know that this kid, the head maybe should be what? Like increasing in size. The head will obviously be enlarging. And then when you look at the fontanelle which has been pulsating,
That is,
it will start bulging.
Which is the fontanelle here?
The middle.
Which they call the kawompo.
The kawompo. Usually, of course, before 18 months, it must be open, and in most cases, pulsating. But when you see it not pulsating and in most cases bulging, then you know there's a problem with the head increasing in size. At times, some of them start even convulsing. When you look at the eyes, we call them sunsetting. They appear as if they are looking down, but in actual sense, when they are looking at you, you see. With other signs that may come in, like convulsions, vomiting in most cases, fevers set in, and the reason why they keep on vomiting is because they want to compensate for the increasing intracranial pressures in the brain, so they keep on vomiting. You may think that the kid is even sick, but when you do the various tests, all they are negative. So with the sensitization that we made in this country, it has actually helped to sensitize the communities, even our health workers in the lower health facilities, where these mothers end up going to those facilities. So when those health workers have this kind of knowledge, they are able to refer them to the neuro centers like Chua Hospital in Mbale on time, and even in Mulago, you see. So it helps in identifying, and of course, Dr. Michael talked of early intervention, giving us good prognosis at the end of it.
Picking up again on the signs and symptoms, especially on those that have the post-infectious. I'm especially passionate about this because it's what is causing the bulk of the hydrocephalus in our children in Uganda.
Okay, Doctor, before we get to you, at this particular point, I'd like for us to take a short break, and in this particular break, we're going to hear stories of two parents' testimonies who have kids that have the condition hydrocephalus. Then we shall get back to you with more in the topic of discussion.
Masinde's mother, 50-year-old Sylvia Nakabugo, his playmates, together with his young brother Christopher Tumwa, gathered to greet the visitors. Masinde, once with a deformity due to a head bulge, was operated in 2008, but nothing shows previous abnormalities except medical documents, scars, and some photos. Emmanuel Masinde is one of the many children who have undergone surgery as a result of hydrocephalus. His condition worsened when he was 2 months, but today he is a normal child.
Ninganga sizalanga ko omwana agunda omutwe gwe guti mbabulire mukwate ku kkuba erigenda e Kampala mubuuze eddwaliro eryo mu Kiwa ntunuulira abaana abalimu nabo ate basinga kubange ningamba nti ddala mwana wange mulwadde ddala omutwe.
Nakabugo may have been lucky to have support of her husband despite discrimination and mockery from her father-in-law. But for Namayanja Mili, it was a totally different story for a young mother who went through normal gestation period leading to normal birth. The child would however develop complications.
Kati nga nekyamaze omutwe sikiwuliranga nako gwe gwali gusooka nagenda olaba amunyiganyiga wano bwati mu kawompo nga nate akawompo kakyali nnomo.
Her predicament worsened when her husband denied fathering such a child in their clan, hence abandoning her.
Ng'omanyi abasajja yagamba ewaabwe tebazala abaana bwe batyo tebiriyo ewaabwe ebyo byaka biri waffe.
Namayanja Mili was referred to Cure Hospital Mbale for her child's treatment.
Neera ne tuddayo ogwokubiri bamuteekamu kaseke bakayise nobwe bati naye tube bakateekamu kati yali okuketa lekaddangamu kuziikira.
Such are the challenges parents, especially mothers, go through when they give birth to children with hydrocephalus.
Well, you're still watching You Health Chat here on UBC TV, proudly sponsored by National Medical Stores. Now, doctors, that is just a sample and a little bit of the testimonies from some of the parents for a condition of hydrocephalus. Dr. Michael, you still had something to top up to the discussion.
Oh, yes. So most of these ones that acquire the hydrocephalus, what we call the post-infectious hydrocephalus, yes, the typical histories that have given birth from home, and then maybe 4 days later, a child is irritable, excessively, doesn't want to feed, and then that is sometimes associated with a fever and convulsions. And if that is not treated adequately, which happens for most of the mothers that we have come in, for example, a child like that presents to a hospital and is treated with syrups, the end result is that, yes, the infection burns out, but the damage that it has caused in the brain is what we would see now as the post-infectious hydrocephalus.
Now, I'm very curious to know how this condition is treated, because if treated, or if the water is drained out of the head, can the child's head go back to the normal size? Or since it has already expanded to the level at which it is, that is the way it will stay permanently?
So treatment, the conditions of hydrocephalus has been treated traditionally by diverting the CSF to another place within the body.
You divert the water?
Yes, that has been like the traditional treatment. That would involve implanting a tube that we call a shunt, that would divert that fluid and either dump it in the belly, or depending, it can be diverted to various places, but that's the traditional treatment.
Now, when this fluid is dumped into the belly, doesn't it cause, since it's not meant to be in the belly, doesn't it also cause any harm to the belly?
The belly is actually supposed to absorb it, and it does absorb it, but being a foreign body that is implanted in someone, it is prone to failure. So there are cases in which it will not absorb as it should absorb, and therefore leading to complications that need to be urgently treated. So that's a traditional treatment, very effective, but at the same time very prone to complications. There is another way of actually treating, which is what we mainly do at Cure, where we create an alternative opening for the fluid to start flowing within the brain. So
you drill that is created within the brain still, within the head?
Yes, it's created within the brain. So it's like a camera, sort of, that is directed inside the brain, and at a specific area within the brain you create an alternative path, so that, remember, one of the causes, like Stuart was telling us, was this fluid is obstructed, so it's not flowing as it should. So the idea is you go in with a camera and carefully, at a specific area, open the pathway, an alternative pathway where this water can start flowing. In the same setting as well, there's particular places where the CSF is produced. You still use the same machines to reduce its production by burning out the area at which it's produced. So that's what we call the ETV CPC procedure. That's
now, a parent's concern would be, yes, you found a solution to that, and the child's brain now can function normally without that excessive fluid, unnecessary fluid. Does the size of the head go back, Dr. Stewart? Will it reduce since you have drained out the water?
Thank you very much. Dr. Michael first talked of early intervention, good prognosis. When this operation is done early, if like the hydrocephalus is identified early, and then the operation, the ETV-CPC is also done immediately, we expect the size of the body, of the head, not to continue increasing, and it will be controlled. But when the size of the head is already big, it might not go back to a smaller size because the bones have already ossified and can't go back. So what happens here is that the aim of the surgery, it will help to reduce the intracranial pressure, which is a danger in hydrocephalus. Okay, so here our problem is not the head size. Our problem is controlling the pressure. Because now when ETV CPC is performed, it means that accumulated CSF which was not saturating within, it will now smoothly saturate and the pressure will reduce to normal. Okay.
Now with the pressure reduced to normal,
yes,
and the head size is still, let's say, way too big. Now, how do you help the parent to manage the condition of like the balance? Because now you imagine it's a little child and the head is way too big, then this kid has to walk. This kid is going to have issues with the balance because the head will feel heavy.
In most cases, the imbalance in these kids, it comes as a result of the increasing intracranial pressures. So when it's reduced,
the kid
then
will
it
still
means,
move.
okay, that imbalance, okay, maybe like he's above 5 years, the imbalance may be there, but at least controlled. You will be able to pick up, okay?
But slowly.
Yes, because now if like ETV is done, maybe at 2 months, 5 months, it means the intracranial pressure which was high, it will reduce, it will even give room for the brain
to
develop. Even class performance at times may also pick up because the brain is now developing normally. But again, if someone has already like, okay, is maybe like 10 years, the balance may be controlled, and of course the movement, if he has been like staggering a bit, you never know. To some extent, there may be changes of improvement, and even doing certain other activities may also improve.
That's where the clip we watched demonstrated showed 2 different children. One perhaps got treated a little bit earlier. With earlier treatment, you have better outcomes. Truth is that even with treatment, there is some children in whom the outcomes are not so great, especially those that have been treated late. And surgery is not an end to itself in these children. There's a number of other things that we do in terms of helping them. Surgery plays really a very big role in terms of kickstarting the process of management.
Now let's talk about spina bifida. How is spina bifida treated, given the fact that it's a protrusion of the spinal cord, practically out like we have seen? How do you treat this condition? Does that mean that the vertebrae, the bones that have protruded out, are more excess than was meant to be, or they just form out abnormally and you have to find a way of compressing and pressing them back in?
It's not that bones
it's the flesh.
So you have a defect on your a defect in the bones. So the bones didn't form well, and the contents of the spinal cord therefore push through the bone.
The contents of the spinal cord push through.
So the goal for treating spina bifida is, number one, to make sure we have early surgery of closing the back, as ideally within 48 hours from the time the child is born. There is a direct communication between that defect on the back with the brain through CSF. So when that wound gets colonized by any form of germs or infections, I hate to use the term, what happens is that they are sent to the brain as well, and they cause havoc there. So the goal is to make sure that is closed early. So closing means you've literally closed out whatever is outside from communicating with the CNS, the brain and the spinal cord. And then that marks the beginning of a rather long journey. Sometimes these children are born with deformities in their limbs, in their
legs. As a result of the spinal cord.
So it's an association in a way. So, for example, their legs can be clubbed, in which instance they may need an orthopedic surgeon to help with the realignment
of the legs.
As well, because the spinal cord is literally supposed to help one control a number of things, including passing stool, passing urine. Children with spina bifida are incontinent for those, so they can't hold. That's what I'm trying to communicate. Yeah. And because they can't hold, more of the treatment as well is directed towards optimizing outcomes, making sure that they're socially acceptable, helping them pass stool, their kidneys as well prone to getting damaged. So we help them to as well pass out the urine, and as well give them a drug that helps to make sure their kidneys are not compromised.
Can this condition be minimized? You get it, just like you said, if somebody possibly, the solution possibly, I'm assuming, if somebody has given birth from a traditional birth attendant, should be able to go to a referral hospital or to a nearby hospital to get the normal procedures or whatever it is that is required. Now for spina bifida, given the fact that a child is born in that state, how can you help to minimize? What do you think are the deformities that lead to that within the mother's womb? What or how do they contract it? Like we know how you contract the hydrocephalus. Most of them acquire it. But what about this one?
Yeah, I get your question.
How can we minimize the risk?
So spina bifida has multifactorial causes. There is a genetic component to it that we may not have control over. A mother who has a child with spina bifida may give birth to another that has spina bifida. But important to note that up to 70% of the cases of spina bifida result from a deficiency of a certain nutrient in the body that's called folic acid.
What?
So spina bifida, the brain of the spinal cord form way early in pregnancy. By around the 24th or 26th day of pregnancy, the brain and the spinal cord are forming, and that's when these deformities actually do happen. So prevention is aimed at making sure a mother has enough folic acid pre-conception within her body.
At the time when she's going through her different stages.
Pre-conception.
Pre-conception.
Before you actually conceive. Remember, it's 24 to 26 days of life. That's when the brain and spinal cord are forming. So if you took it 3 months, when you've gone for your first antenatal care visit, it might not help in terms of preventing. So pre-conception use of folic acid, fortification of foods, countries that have used this as a policy in their country to fortify feeds with folic acid. For example, the flour, you have it fortified with folic acid, have lesser cases of spina bifida happening.
Wow. Okay, now at this particular point, I'd like us to take another brief break. And at this and we are going to take a look at a grandparent who's had their son or their grandson actually who has the condition of hydrocephalus get treatment from Cure Hospital. Right now he's okay, but has been going in for review, because this will possibly help us to come back to the next questions that we have, but right after this break.
Well, Sam was born of a wife and a husband, who is my son. And this is way back in 2003. After about 1 year or two, noticed some swellings in the head, and the eyes became small. So the father and the mother brought him here. I accompanied them, came with them here. And they examined him, and they say he had some liquid in the brain. But it was flowing off. So they said there was no danger, it was disappearing. So they told him to go back without any treatment. I think they gave him some right treatment, but I didn't know at that time the details. So they went back, the father, the mother, and myself as a grandson who was following him. Now the father and mother, of course, were staying away from me. After some time, the mother passed on. I passed on and left the man with the father. So I told them to bring him to me because the father had to move, and I'm already stable at home. So I've been keeping him since that time. Now they didn't leave any record of having been examined. So I took him to school, P1, up to P7, passed very well, went to senior. Today, this year, he's in senior 4, and he's sitting his exams. The condition, that's when I noticed that there was something wrong, and I brought him after about 10 years of no examination. But when I brought him and they examined him here, they said no, he had some water in the brain, and the brain is under pressure, that's why it's deteriorating. So they operated on him here in July, August. Okay. And after the operation, went back. So we are now just reporting back for the condition. His work has not yet improved. We don't know, because this final exams which is doing, we don't know what we will give now.
But now, how much is it possible for
Inspirational moment with Pastor Jackson Senyonga of Christian Life Church, Kampala.
Psalms 145, Zaburi 15, verse number 16. You open your hand and satisfies the desire of every living thing. It is in God's heart to fulfill the desire of every living thing. And before he fulfills any other thing, he wants to fulfill the desire of his own people. In a few minutes, I will anoint you. My prayer is that the Lord will fulfill the desires of your heart.
Inspirational moment with Pastor Jackson Senyonga of Christian Life Church, Kampala.
Okay, welcome back from that break, and thank you so much, Hilda Motonyi, for making it possible and traveling all the way to Mbale Cure Hospital to be able to bring us the footage that you have been able to see. Now back to it. Doctors, you have done the review of this particular boy, Sam. Because my next question was going to be, do they actually grow? Because sometimes people think beyond a particular age they will not grow. But there he was, he came back for review. And I think he's a candidate, yes. Senior 4, quite impressive.
Yeah.
What was his problem? Why did he have to come back to hospital?
So the time he came back to hospital, he was deteriorating in school performance, which is one of the ways that we actually use to follow up these children. We ask about how are they doing in school, because pressure in your brain is going to make you not to concentrate. It can affect your vision, so your vision is deteriorating, you cannot concentrate in class, you have these constant headaches. So he actually returned with those complaints, and that's the time that he got an ETV. We diverted we made an alternative opening for the CSF, and from then onwards, in his follow-up reviews, his performance in class has actually improved as well.
Okay. Now we were still getting to the bit of, doctor, you were telling me the bit of the folic acid, and you're like, chances are, you know, there are certain times we think that the woman in the village, some of them don't go for antenatal actually, but amazingly, they have lesser issues to deal with. And whilst the person here in town who is having, you know, this wonderful high life of doing their junk and everything, will possibly miss out, will possibly need the folic acid. What are the foods that are rich in folic acid, possibly that women who are expecting should be able to know that these are my given meals, I should not miss out on them?
Thank you very much. Just like you mentioned, it's true, somebody in town may have the hydrocephalus, and this person in the village, it's not hydrocephalus, but it's spina bifida. I think one of the reasons is because like people in the village, they have all sorts of foods, the greens, the guavas, the eggs, mangoes, this dodo, spinach and all that. They have access to that and they eat it in bulk. And those are the foods which are rich in vitamin B9, which is folic acid. But now when you look at town, you may even take a year without eating the greens, but most of the time a week may not miss when you have not eaten chicken and chips. You see that, which is not rich in the folic acid. So I think that's why like we are encouraging most people shouldn't be only in the villages, but all reproductive age group to like start having the folic acid. Especially like if they plan to have kids, at least 2 to 3 months earlier before conception. And these other groups, at least let's have greens to be part of our either side sauce or main sauce to be part of the menu. And this will help to prevent this kind of condition. Because just like he said, it's one of the major causes of these conditions, deficiency of it. Because you could be having it, but when it's not enough, and therefore you may be a good candidate these conditions.
No. Be to the authorities. Fortifying the feeds might be one way of going about this. What if a portion was fortified, for example? All girls of school-going age, at least those in boarding school, will eat posho. Even those at home will do so. So if it's fortified, then we will minimize the diseases, like the fall of spina bifida.
On addition to what Dr. Michael is saying, I think I needed to thank SHAU, Spina Bifida Hydrocephalus Section of Uganda. It has worked very hard through the Ministry of Health to ensure that majority of the foods being produced by the companies around are fortified. And this one is going to help all of us within the country.
Now I'd like to ask out of curiosity, during years back, this kind of kids, I'm sorry to say, with this kind of conditions, not spina bifida per se because it was not popular, but the hydrocephalus, parents had these kids locked up and hidden, and they believed that these kids were either cursed or something. You find them tied down in the house. Do you still meet conditions like that, or best on the fact that you have done a lot of sensitization in some of the regions, then the children are being brought openly to hospital for treatment?
Thank you very much. We've done the sensitization, but it's not enough. Uganda is big. You find that even areas where we've been, they are coming in with such cases. And as you go there, you might target a certain community. That's why through SHAU, we are trying to ensure we have these associations of these conditions in every region, because like if such an association is in the region, it helps to keep on with the continuous sensitization of the community. Because now like when you look at Eastern region, we have one, Northern we have one, Western there is one, in Central we have 3 of them, and they're doing very good work through their mother association, which is SHAU. So it's through such associations that will work hand in hand with the medical teams of Chua and Mulago to ensure that the masses get the information. But even the educated class, you find that the majority are agreeing about these conditions.
Yeah, true.
And through this sensitization, at least we encourage male involvement in providing support. Because you realize that many families are broken down because of this kind of conditions.
Because from the story, yes, like the story of one of the second ladies, her testimony, where the man outrightly left her and does not believe in our family.
Exactly. And you find that some of them are even well educated.
Yes. Yeah, it's something that happens, sadly. And yeah, I will speak to the men out there. This has nothing to do with the mother's family. It's not her fault. We've had some who have blamed it on family planning. It has nothing to do with family planning. Anyone can develop hydrocephalus, anyone can develop spina bifida. We can modify the risks, yes, but it has nothing to do with witchcraft. It has nothing to do with something wrong that the mother did. So I would appeal to everyone out there to as you've clearly seen from the clips, if these children are treated early, we would have better outcomes. Hiding them inside the houses is definitely going to make them worse.
Okay, now we get to the day, which is tomorrow, where we're actually going to commemorate, this particular day. Why? Because there are certain times, some of those days, there are many conditions, medical conditions, that have some of those days, and some don't take them seriously to commemorate them. We'd rather go with some of the calendar days that we know. Why must we commemorate this day?
Thank you very much. It's one way that various governments in this world have tried to come up with this day to ensure as a form of sensitization in various governments in the world. Initially, this day used not to be celebrated, but with the effect from 2011, we started celebrating this day.
In Uganda?
In Uganda, actually. And by what we call International Federation of Hydrocephalus and Spina Bifida. That's in Belgium. That's from 2011. So it was widely celebrated, but again, it's from 2015 that Uganda also came up to start celebrating this day. The first two events were in Mbale, and the second two events, third and fourth, were in Kampala. The fifth was actually last year in Gulu. So this year, we are trying to see how we can move region by region. And tomorrow, which is the 25th of October, we are having it in Mbarara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you commemorate or celebrate this day, what are some of the activities? Because there are certain times, one, I think of the major activities we know for most of these medical-related days, you're sure there will be a blood donation camp. Now, in some of these areas where you don't have the hospitals, people will come with very high expectations. I'll bring my child with their condition and I'll expect them to be treated. How are you planning to manage that?
So, every year we have a theme for the World Spina Bifida Hydrocephalus Day. Last year's theme emphasized the fact that everyone was at risk. We needed to do something about it. This year's is emphasizing the fact that we actually need to fortify our foods. We need folic acid.
To fortify the foods, yeah.
Yes. So one, we celebrate because we need to create awareness. We celebrate, we come along these children as well and celebrate them. It's not easy living with spina bifida. It's not easy living with hydrocephalus. Coming along, and one parent, for instance, who might be discouraged, seeing another strive to actually bring out the best in their child is going to encourage them. It's in a way, it now becomes a form of inspiration to everyone else. It helps to remind us as well of the fact that diseases are still there, and they exist, and they need to be appropriately managed. Going to a region, for example, helps us to as well increase sensitization about the conditions. We definitely wouldn't get them treated in the field. as you've seen.
But you will
ends up-
diagnose.
Yeah, we'll diagnose, we'll advise them on where they can actually seek the services. It's not unusual as well in these days for, say, a mother to come and whisper to you, this is what is happening, how do I go about it? So we celebrate because of all those reasons. Yeah.
And on addition to that, you know, during these celebrations, parents and the patients themselves, they give various testimonies, which is an inspiration to the rest. And it's through that kind of commemoration that even donors can be available
to support
this kind of kids. Like last year when we were in Iguru, we had Ibulamu Healthcare International, which came up and supported actually it has been supporting many of them, but we had 10 on spot. They were all sponsored for their surgeries. You see that? So the following week they were all in Mbale
for surgery
operated.
Now we're talking about this famous hospital,
yes,
and where the surgeries have been successful, I should say. How many operating theaters do you have, and on average, how many surgeries are done successfully at that particular hospital, that is Kiwa Hospital in Mbale?
We have 2 functional operating theaters that run Monday through Friday, and we operate an average of 8 patients in a day. So the conditions really vary that we do operate. It's mainly spina bifida and hydrocephalus, but as well any other neurosurgical conditions, including trauma, tumors. We have them happening. It has a multidisciplinary team of neurosurgeons and anesthesiologists and medical officers, nurses, quite a number, that all come together to take care of these children. Yeah, it's a private, not-for-profit hospital. Patients come through and their surgeries are subsidized and they come and get treated. None is turned away on the basis of non-payment. But that said as well, we continuously ask for support from people to come along as we try to optimize outcomes in these children.
Okay, it looks like it's a big core function, because after the surgery, of course, given the capacity and the fact that you said it's a private hospital, you can't keep them on ward for a long period of time. Assuming you have to let them go, do you keep monitoring some of them, doing home visits to ensure that all is well with them?
Oh yes, our care is as holistic as it possibly can be. While in hospital, on top of taking care of the medical needs of the children, we as well encourage them spiritually to carry on with life. So after surgery, it's not a one-off for us. We have these satellite clinics which are set up in various parts of the country, in Bara, Gulu, in Kampala, and lately Jinja, where we just go and follow up just to know what's happening. In case they need to get back to cure, we actually have them go back. Some of these children, because of the damage that's happened in the brain, have to live with seizures, so we go and try to optimize their outcomes as well in terms of controlling their convulsions. As well, we have a team of physiotherapists that help to optimize outcomes. You asked what happens when the child cannot control their head. That's when the therapists, for example, come in handy to try and make sure the child's function is as optimized as it can be.
Okay. Now we're coming to top of the hour. I would like to ask, I'll start with Dr. Stewart. What are your closing remarks to a person who is watching you right now?
Thank you very much. Tomorrow we are celebrating World Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus Association of Uganda. Day. It will take place in Mbarara. That's in Ruharo ground. So I encourage all stakeholders to join us in Mbarara. And then I would also like to thank the management of Chua Hospital, Shao Uganda, and the Ministry of Health for ensuring that they support these children in this country. And above all, I think I would love to thank the management of UBC TV for ensuring that they partner with us. They have done great work in ensuring they do all the follow-ups of these neuro conditions in this country. And we promise to work hand in hand with them. Let them not give up, please. Let's try to be together.
Yes, I shall support.
For the future of these children and for our country.
Okay, yes.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Michael?
Anyone is at risk for spina bifida. Any lady who is of childbearing age, I would encourage that you actually have enough folic acid in your body. Folic acid would help to prevent spina bifida, at least for most of the time, 70% of the time. The biggest cause of hydrocephalus in our country is still infections that are sent to the brain and cause meningitis. These are preventable. For every 6 out of the 10 children with with hydrocephalus that we treat, they actually shouldn't have gotten that hydrocephalus. To the mother out there, let's go give birth from hospitals, and to the health workers, when a neonate has meningitis, let's have them treated adequately to prevent the sequelae of hydrocephalus. I thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Stewart and Dr. Michael, for your time. And of course, we would like to say we look forward to being part of the celebrations in Mbale. And we hope that the people of Mbale town will also be in a position, Mbarara, be in a position to show up and come and get more sensitized about this kind of conditions. Well, my name was Sophia Matovo. I was sitting in for Dr. Henry Dungu. And at this particular point, I would like to hand over to Patricia Lukoma, who is on standby for the 10 o'clock news. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Was brought to you by
Your Health Chart is brought to you by National Medical Stores, World mandated to procure, store, distribute essential medicines and medical supplies to all public health facilities in the country.
This weekend on UBC.
My name is Mkayo Hannington, winner of the NSSF Friends with Benefits Season 2.
Congratulations, Hannington!
I used my winnings to boost my agricultural production and give a chance to the people in my community to work.
So join us this year for the 3rd season of the NSSF Friends with Benefits, as 16 Ugandans share inspirational stories on how they use their NSSF benefits to do life-changing things. So tune in every Sunday with your hosts, Gaetano and I, and special new host, Uncle D. It's another incredible display. It's the NSSF Friends with Benefits.
And that's not all. You have the power to vote for your favorite stories to win up to 55 million shillings, just like Huntington. This show is brought to you by
NSSF, a better life.
Let me drink one for the road. Let me drink one for the road. Cause you only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. Whoa, whoa.
No, I've never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try, yeah. Girl, every
to Mulago. I gave the results to my breast surgeon, who actually told me, this is cancer.
We're gonna pick it up and see how Mr. Serunkuma reacted to this sad and ugly news of a wife having breast cancer.
I remember I just kept quiet.
He went to his nothing box.
I dived into my nothing box. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. First of all, it took me, I think, like a week to realize the situation was bad.
Yes.
For me and the family. That's when I began coming back to life and saying, am I going to stay with the children alone? How am I going to handle the family if she's not around?
Welcome once again. This is News Tonight at 10. My name is Patricia Lokoma. Mugalu Mohammed will be joining us shortly on sign language. First though, the headlines. In our top stories tonight, relatives to slain Maria Nagirinya testify in police court. 300 arrested in police raid on downtown shops. Stolen electronics and motorcycles are seized. On the international scene, Fast Russia-Africa Summit to strengthen trade and bilateral relations. In sports, Uganda moves a place higher in FIFA rankings. And the news in detail. President Yoweri Museveni has fulfilled his pledge to the Commonwealth gold medalist Cheptegei Joshua, of course, Kipreo, by rewarding him with a brand new double cabin Mitsubishi pickup for his outstanding performance at the Commonwealth Games that took place in Gold Coast, Queensland in Australia. That was in 2018. Now, Cheptegei won 2 gold medals at the sports tournament, one for 10,000 meters marathon and the second in the 5,000 sprint. The State House sports officer, Ms. Nora Nasimbwa, officiated at the handover ceremony of the vehicle at State House, Nakasero. This is the second vehicle Cheptegei has received from President Yoweri Museveni. Cheptegei, who thanked the president for fulfilling his pledge and always being by the side of athletes and sports people. Now, the gold winner also commended Mrs. Janet Museveni for the good luck she brought to the sports since she assumed the leadership of the Ministry of Education and Sports. every word there. Now, still with the Presidential Press Unit, President Yoweri Museveni has said that the historic relationship between Africa, Russia, China, India, and other third world countries on the other can bring about stability in the world through balanced and mutual beneficial trade, investments, and tourism. He was addressing the plenary of heads of state and government meeting at the First Russia-Africa Summit in Sochi. The summit, held under the theme Russia, Africa, Uncovering the Potential for Cooperation, is ongoing.
In Uganda, I always tell the cadres of our political movement and the elements of the elite that I get opportunity, when I get opportunity to address them, that between 1472, when the first European reached the West African coast in Sierra Leone, and 1994, when our South African brothers and sisters regained their freedom, the African peoples were afflicted by calamity-causing phenomena. These were the slave trade, genocide in some cases, colonialism, neo-colonialism, stagnation if not regulation and socio-economic transformation, and missing out on the historic industrial revolutions that helped man to relatively tame the natural phenomena that oppressed him since creation, i.e. the phenomena of disease, floods, drought, etc. Therefore, I am always most pleased to visit the Russian Federation because it carries the heritage of the glory of the Soviet Union, not only in having supported us in our anti-colonial struggle, but also in having saved the human race from the dangers of the demonic fascism of Hitler and allies. Africa had capitulated to foreign domination on account of internal weaknesses. Since independence, we have been addressing some of these weaknesses. Recently, we signed the Continental Free Trade Area CFTA agreement as a follow-up on the 1991 Abuja Treaty. Therefore, we can now support one another's prosperity through trade, investments, and tourism. The historical relationship between Africa on the one hand with Russia, China, India, and the other third world countries on the other hand can bring about stability in the world through balanced and mutually beneficial trade, investments, and tourism. The future of the world is bright if we act rightly. You hear of many think tanks in the world. How can you have so many think tanks when they do not do any thinking? If these think tanks think, then who pushes for policies of sanctions against huge economic units like Russia? Why use sanctions? Why interfere in the internal affairs of other countries? Why don't actors allow different ideas to peacefully compete? Then the right idea will emerge. The emergence of China as the second biggest economy in the world has helped the world, the whole world, including the West. Yet, they are still a communist country. Therefore, countries that are clear-headed, not jaundiced by ideological, philosophical, and strategic myopia, like those of us in this forum, should press ahead.
Quite some speech there. Now, police court has engaged the family of late Maria Nagirinya to testify against his 8 alleged errant officers. The court, chaired by Senior Police Commissioner Dennis Odongopinye, has so far registered 4 witnesses in this matter. Odongopinye adjourned the matter until tomorrow, Friday, 25th October 2019, for further hearing.
Shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Harriet Nacheje, the elder sister to late Maria Nagirinya, testified before police court how Natete police station officers negligently responded to them on the night they went to the station to access the CCTV footage and ascertain how their relative, late Nagirinya, was allegedly kidnapped.
Actually, the officer was seated like this, raising his legs up while holding his feet like this.
Nachejwe pointed and identified the particular police officer, also known as Constable Chibakwamu Robin, who she claimed was not in order as his sitting position was more of a relaxed mode.
Number 5.
This made the identified constable Chibakwamu to rise tone during cross-examination of the witness, asking Nachejwe to describe to court the alleged sitting position in question.
How practical is it that somebody can sit and raises his legs up? Can you practically demonstrate that he was seated and the legs are up?
Constable Chibakwamu requested court, chaired by the Senior Commissioner of Police Dennis Odongo Pinyi, to visit the locus and verify the information as provided by the witness.
It is my request that this honorable court goes for a locus to establish the allegation in the testimony of PW3.
Joseph Lubowa, the father to the deceased, was the fourth witness to testify in this police court. Lubowa's testimony did not differ much as he recounts the confusion they went through.
Someone told me, you are wasting time here. These people will not deal with this case. Then told me, you better go. These people can help you better than the police. That's why I went to the flying squad. And the officers there were very good because they actually gave me a feeling that actually there's someone helping me.
Earlier, the police court engaged 54 years old Richard Kasasa, the Secretary for Defense, Navisasiro Zone, where the deceased Nagrinya lived. The defaulted 8 police officers were charged early this week with negligence of duty and misconduct. The officers include ASP Muhammad Ibiansi, ASP Alan Okelo, ASP Andrew Nyezimana, and Detective Assistant Inspector of Police Sande Baguma, among others. Police Court Chairman Dennis Odongo Pinyi adjourned the case until tomorrow afternoon for further hearing.
Because this case we have to hurry and finish.
Daniel Mugoya reporting for UBC News.
Right to win.
Truly no one is above the law. Again, still to do with police matters, police have arrested over 300 suspected dealers in stolen motorcycles and electronic devices. The raid, carried out in the morning hours of the day, targeted downtown Kampala. It was conducted together with sister security agencies. Addressing the press at the Central Police Station, Kampala Police spokesperson Fred Enanga said that the crackdown was informed by a water right intelligence who has been gathering all this information over a period of time.
Impromptu it was, as police and sister security agencies comprising of both overt and covert officers sealed off city arcades downtown, well known in the sale of second-hand electronics and motorcycles. These stolen items are for long-found market in many Kampala-based shops. Disturbed by such occurrences, police has for months been investigating dealers involved in the sale of suspected stolen motorcycles and other electronics, and today's raid was incontrovertibly the climax.
Sake of the suspected stolen motorcycles, we targeted the areas around Muganzi Raza, that is at Katwe Chibuye, following our intelligence and the many concerns that were being raised around that place. And then for electronic, suspected stolen electronic items, we targeted Cooper Complex as well as Mutasa Kafero.
With cases of burglary seeming on the increase, police say such interventions will help solve crime.
We thought that if we targeted these other shops that were involved in the production line, that would encourage these other thugs that are at the front line in breaking, mugging and attacking people who are going back and stealing these items from them. There was a way that in one way we would be disrupting these other activities.
Police spokesperson Fred Enanga says all those with missing property can now report to police. In a related development, Uganda Communications Commission says they have procured gadgets which will be used to net and disconnect all counterfeit mobile phones on the market. The Commission's Executive Director, Godfrey Mutabazi, says this will be effected early next year.
We've already acquired equipment and we are working with the telecom companies. This equipment is wired towards a database, international database for the whole world that registers all genuine phone manufacturers. So soon we shall connect it, and everybody who is on fake phone, cabinet and all that kind of thing will be disconnected. But we shall give you ample time to receive information and ensure that you prepare.
Mutabazi reviewed this at the sidelines of the ICT sector review held in Kampala. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
Now, some opposition parties have come out with a new strategy of engaging citizens through organizing a convention to discuss and find solutions to issues affecting the country. Now, while addressing the media at their office at Katonga Road, former FDC President Dr. Kiza Besigye said it's time to take up patriotic duties as citizens.
Opposition politicians have raised concern over the incidences of insecurity in the country. They quote police report which stated that in a week 21 people are murdered in different forms of violence. According to former FDC party president, insecurity is rooted into injustice. He cites land grabbing as a social and economic injustice.
Look now, hundreds of Makerere students are in prison because of hiked fees. Their only crime being to say this fees is unfair. It is not a private institution, it's a public institution. We send there our children to get knowledge. They end up being abused in the most disturbing ways.
Dr. Besigye, however, wonders why the exercise for voter registration update is being carried out by Local Council 1.
But who are LC 1s? These are all people elected according to their parties. They are partisan. They are candidates themselves. They are campaign managers of their parties. Today they are the ones updating the register.
The opposition have launched a campaign, Article 3, through organizing an all-inclusive convention to discuss with the public and chant a way forward. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gutabenji in Kampala.
We still have more packed stories coming your way, but let's take a short break and return with more of those.
Daddy, what's wrong?
I've had a long day, Angel, and I have a bad headache.
Oh, I'll give you something that will make you feel better if you promise to play with us.
Headache? Toothache. Unapoumwa, unataka kitulizo kwa haraka gani? Mara moja. Pain and Fever Reliever. A quality product from Beta Healthcare. Contains paracetamol, caffeine, and aspirin. Beta Healthcare. Caring for all. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. This weekend on UBC.
My name is Mkayo Hannington, winner of the NSSF Friends with Benefits Season 2.
Congratulations, Hannington!
I used my winnings to boost my agricultural production and give a chance to the people in my community to work.
So join us this year for the third season of the NSSF Friends with Benefits, as 16 Ugandans share inspirational stories on how they use their NSSF benefits to do life-changing things. So tune in every Sunday with your host, Gaetano, and I, and special new host, Uncle D. It's another incredible display. It's the NSSF Friends with Benefits.
And that's not all. You have the power to vote for your favorite stories to win up to 55 million shillings, just like Huntington. This show is brought to you by
NSSF, a better life.
Welcome back. News Tonight continues. The Minister for ICT, Frank Tumwebeze, has advised government agencies to adapt to e-government services for quick service delivery. He called for a review of how government work is disseminated among ICT junior sectors like UBC, UCC, Uganda Media Center, Government Citizen Interaction Center, and Vision Group. As Ivan Kahwa reports, the minister was addressing stakeholders at the 2018-2019 ICT sector review in Kampala.
The 2018-2019 ICT sector annual performance review has highlighted achievements for the ministry and prospects for next financial year 2019-2020. In the financial year 2018-2019, the ICT Ministry launched the broadband policy and e-government, which automates government services via digital platforms. The ministry reports that access to television services was hyped in underserved areas through the China-Uganda cooperation.
As the infrastructure giant, we are looking into the aspect of promoting digitization platform for content, both for the media and as well as IT, broadcasting and all that.
The ministry is to fast-track and review laws that cater for new trends and emerging technologies, plus developing infrastructure sharing guidelines. This will also include a review of the Press and Journalism Act, which intends to professionalize journalism.
When it was passed in 1996, citizen journalism was not an issue. Now, it's with us. All of us are journalists. With a smartphone, you can capture and disseminate information. But what type of information are we disseminating? We now hear about fake news. There's fake news, but there's also distributing content which is in bad taste, as far as we are concerned.
Uganda Communications Commission clarifies that UBC can partly play a key role in shaping the operation of mainstream media.
If you look at the work other broadcasters are doing, it's enormous. You must do it. And that's the price we are paying now is because we are not funding our national broadcaster. If we are all over, good quality, good infrastructure, good journalists, we wouldn't be having this problem. And all these journalists would be working for you, for UBC.
The ICT Cabinet Minister Frank Tumwebeze believes that there is need to improve quality of services and consistent connectivity.
So by doing that, you're creating jobs. Mobile money agents, reducing the cost of transport. I'm here in Kampala. I can run my farm from here. So that's one. And we must congratulate ourselves as the sector that the penetration of these services is also creating jobs.
Internet service providers have pledged to review how the nation can enjoy using data with expiry date scrapped off, though they argue that the cost of data is low.
Cost of delivering 1 gigabyte of data on your mobile phone is about 10,000 shillings. That's what it costs us as an industry to deliver that 1 gigabyte on your phone. And we are selling it, if you remove the taxes, at about 3,500 shillings. So we are basically already selling data far below the cost of data.
Now, broadband is becoming a cost of production. Tell those economic teachers to add it on the factors of production, if they did not know. So how would we make sure that the cost of dedicated internet also is as affordable as mobile data? I agree with you, mobile data is affordable. People may not accept that, but the problem is with the other part.
This year's sector review was on the theme, strategizing to tap into the fourth industrial revolution for sustainable national development. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News in Kampala.
Now let's cross over to court, where the Crimes Division of the High Court has revised bail terms of Rwenzururu King Charles Wesley Mumbere, granting him one of his requests to go for medical attention abroad. However, court has denied him access to Kasese on grounds that these can interfere with investigations and witnesses, most of whom are his subjects.
Earlier, the embattled Rwenzururu cultural leader Charles Wesley Mumbere ran to court seeking redress after he found bail terms stringent. Key among the bail terms was a directive prohibiting him from going to his Kasese-based palace, freely visiting and receiving visitors, and going for medical attention abroad. However, sitting at the Crimes Division of the High Court, Justice Margaret Oumo Oguli found the applicant's pleas justifiable, and she granted the Rwenzururu King the right to go abroad for treatment.
Medical reasons. The court has also accepted that the government provide a passport for the Musinga to enable him travel. The court has also
Court also lifted the ban on Mumbere's freedom to host visitors like friends and relatives at his Munyonyo residence.
The court did not restrict the lawyers, doctors, and immediate family from visiting the king, even without any permission from any security forces. That security can only have permission to clear people who are not under those categories.
However, court found Mumbere's request to go back to Kasese Palace and found it, after all, this can interfere with prosecution witnesses.
And that court believes if he went to Kasese, probably he would interfere because of his influence over his subjects. He can interfere with witnesses. That is the minor condition that remains, save for others that we did not apply review of.
Court has also upheld the condition of prohibiting the embattled king from going beyond the districts of Jinja, Kampala, and Wakiso as he awaits trial. Dokas Kimono and Deborah Namamonde, UBC TV News.
And the First Lady, the First Deputy Prime Minister Moses Ali has asked all stakeholders to champion the implementation of sustainable development goals. This was during the commemoration of the 75th United Nations anniversary in Kampala.
Every 24th of August, Uganda commemorates the United Nations Day as a member of UN. This year's focus is on concrete integration and implementation of SDGs, especially the SDG 13 of combating climate change, following the current impact on the country. The leaders decried looming effects of climate change that have posed a challenge to the implementation of other SDGs.
Some people think climate change is for the ministry of, for some ministry in government. We think it is for somebody else. It's really our business, all of us. So
they say combating climate change requires utmost attention.
I feel Goal 13 is failing us to fulfill many of the SDGs if we don't address it. When we talk about reducing poverty, when our country is entirely dependent on agriculture, and agriculture, if you rate the challenges failing agriculture in our country, one of them is climate change.
I was really waiting to hear about 13 on climate action. It is urgent that we take climate action, that we protect the environment as we develop. Otherwise, we will lose the only planet that we call home.
The First Deputy Prime Minister Moses Ali says Uganda is determined in integrating and implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals.
The implementation of the SDGs through the mobilization of civil servants and local authorities to ensure that they are well equipped to support the implementation of these transformative and integrated inclusive policies.
We are committed to achieving the SDGs because they are a very important guide in helping us achieving our national development objectives.
This year's UN anniversary is on the theme reaffirming collective commitments to multilateralism. Susan Naonga reporting for UBC TV.
Now with issues to do with land matters, former National Planning Authority boss Dr. Wilberforce Kisamba Mgerwa has tipped the Commission of Inquiry into Land about selling their land ideas to President Yoweri Museveni. Empowering of a land market class system in a regulated market is to fight freelance surveyors. This was among the recommendations. Dr. Kisamba Mgerwa was interacting with the Commission of Inquiry into Land on land management, as we hear more in this report.
Ignorance of the law by some Bibanja holders is among the reasons why there are rampant land disputes in the country. Former National Planning Authority chairperson Dr. Wilberforce Kisamba Mgerwa says this has been influenced by the authority that makes political statements in regard to land ownership by Bibanja holders who abuse rights of landlords.
But political statements which mislead the people are causing problems. And allow me to be before the president, I can say it.
Despite government efforts to privatize surveyors, many use fake land titles to cheat the unsuspecting Ugandans about taking a bold decision for tenants to buy out their interests. Dr. Kisamba Mgerwa says the aspect cannot work for Ugandans.
They are waiting for the land fund, but that fund will be a waste of taxpayers' money. We have other areas where we can invest. Let the land market solve these disputes. These people, let us empower them in education, in health, in skills, in employment. In income, let me say not employment, in income generating activities. They will buy out their interests. Many of those who have invested in their sons and daughters, their daughters are buying out our interests.
Commissioner George Bagonza asked Dr. Kisamba Mgerwa whether it could be right to relieve the Ministry of Lands of its duty of issuing land titles and giving to another body.
We have had a strong leader, so if you convince him, anything can happen. And if you have anything to sell, you talk to him quietly and he buys it and he announces it. That's how I marketed it. I marketed the Entanqua, I marketed the NADS, I marketed PMA, I'm marketing other things which will be announced. Don't announce. Sell it to him.
Kisamba Mgerwa recommended diagnosing the land problem and allowing landlords to register their tenants.
Do we need a total restructuring? What is your view?
The whole thing needs a sort of philosophy. And the President himself will solve it, I believe, if he's convinced.
He urged all those in established commercial agriculture to acquire land according to established regulations and norms, because land is not only economic, cultural and legal, but also physical. Although abolishing Milo land was sought to be a solution to land problems, the introduction of freehold, which has increased issues of double titling, is still a challenge to the Commission. The Land Commission is collecting recommendations from different stakeholders on how land can be managed. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Now, to do with police matters, a joint security operation with police in Greater Masaka have arrested 3 suspect killers of 6 people who were murdered in 2 separate incidents in Kaliro and Kinuka trading centers, all in Liantondo district. The 3 suspects are Danson Kakuru, Nathan Mwevesa, and Ninyesiga Elias. The 3 suspects are connected to several robberies in the area. A gun and 29 rounds of ammunition were recovered since the operation started in September 2019. In the arrests, one of the suspects, Nathan Mwebaze, was tracked and arrested as he tried to escape through Isingiro to Tanzania.
Inform you that our task teams that are actively investigating the triple murder that occurred in Kalilo sub-county, where one Bagabo Francis, a 60-year-old, was murdered with his 2 wives by way of shooting, which raised a concern. I'm happy to inform you that we've arrested the second suspect, called Mwebaza Nathan, who also appears to be a son. The beginning of this week, we arrested one called Kakuro Ben, another of the sons within the home, whom we, upon searching, we found with 13 live ammunitions, amongst other exhibits that were of evidential value towards the investigation. So we want to thank our joint security teams which are actively involved in this investigation. We had our flying squad, the CMI, together with our territorial police from, that is Greater Masaka.
Now, a step into the health sector, Ministry of Health has refuted media reports on withdrawing the measles vaccine from the routine immunization schedule. Minister for Health, Dr. Ruth Cheng rather clarifies that the single measles vaccine will be combined with measles rubella.
Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, has described the immunization exercise a success as the 18 million children of below age of 15 target was achieved. Minister Acheng clarified that the measles vaccine has not been withdrawn from the routine immunization as it has been reported in the media.
We are only replacing the single measles vaccine with the two antigens, measles and rubella. And if they were kind to the country, they should have said the Ministry of Health replaces the single measles vaccine with measles and rubella, so that you give clear information to the public, rather than creating confusion and then people start saying, then why did they vaccinate our children? That was very unfortunate. And I think the population deserve clear information.
Meanwhile, parents whose children missed on the mass vaccination have been allocated 2 weeks ahead to have their children vaccinated.
Has advised the districts that have balances of vaccine stocks of measles and rubella to make it available for children aged 9 months to 15 years who missed the vaccination exercise. Parents are encouraged to visit the health facilities within their respective districts to enable their children access the vaccines. In Kampala, the following vaccination posts have been designated: Kawempe Hospital, Child Health in Mulago National Referral Hospital, and KCCA Clinic. All schools that did not carry out the mass immunization exercise are requested to liaise with the district health officers to vaccinate school children within the next 2 weeks at the health facilities.
Measles rubella vaccine has now been incorporated into the routine vaccination and will be available in health facilities in the middle of next month. For ABC News, Helen Barbara and Adia Nakuti.
Now, OC Station Kasenye Police Station Ernest Kankitiho says police in Kasenye has managed to curb crime and tame criminals who had destabilized the area through community policing. Now, Ernest says that Kasenye had become a harbor for frustrated individuals and thugs that had proved a threat to the community.
2 years ago, some areas of Entebbe had become a hub of crime for women murders. However, due to joint operations and community policing, the security in the area was restored. OC Kasenye Police Station Ernest Kankitiho says police converted criminals through continued community policing. The OC was attending a function where a group of women under the umbrella body of Uganda Women's Network for Human Rights commemorated Uganda's 58th independence celebrations.
Women have managed to stay with them, to stay them, to make them understand their rights, how they should even operate. Because they looked very frustrated individuals in the society. Some were even thugs.
Women Network for Human Rights advocacy asked police to continue being vigilant, especially during the upcoming festive season.
Women really want good environment which is clean, so that anytime when we are arrested in a clean environment. So call upon for this protection in case we have any insecurity threat.
They painted the Kasenye Police Station in remembrance of the departed women. Susan Naonga reporting for ABC TV.
And in Luweero, communities in Kichusa Sub-County, Luweero District are in final touches to establishing developmental projects to every home in the area. A U.S. delegation led by a U.S.-based Ugandan, Tibitha Chambade, are visiting homes to establish the beneficiaries.
Residents of Kichusa Sub-County, Luweero District will be the first beneficiary of rural community support to overcome poverty. This follows the Pathways to Hope Africa programs, wherever LC1, the 41 villages of Kichusa Sub-County, will benefit in the first phase of this project of poultry business. The founder, Tibitha Chambade, says 5 homes will be pioneer models in the project.
Stop of the generational poverty and improve the lives of the current people and the future people. So we encourage the people in Senyomo and in rural areas to embrace and give it all and give all their time to what is being given to them, because it costs money, and if they really want to come out of poverty, they have also to work hard.
The first meeting with the 41 LC chairpersons in Kichusa Sub-County discussed that the beneficial communities will be trained first in the different enterprises. The chairperson LC1 Senyomo Village and the chairman of chairpersons Kichusa Sub-County Zephania Kiza Seninde is optimistic in changing the mindset in fighting poverty. Fred Kasebante compiled this report.
Now, as we wind up this segment, voters in Namwaya Parish, Nagongera Sub-County in Tororo District have obstructed the ongoing verification of the National Voters Register over posting a ghost parish supervisor. They also accuse the returning officer for failing to follow the procedure in the recruitment exercise.
Verification exercise is in line with the preparation of the 2020-2021 general elections. However, 4 days after the beginning of the exercise in Tororo, some villages have rejected it due to failure by some parish supervisors to report for work. At Namwaya Parish, residents headed by their local leaders found out that a parish supervisor who was assigned delegated another person to work on her behalf. The LC3 chairperson of Nagongera Sub-County, Simon Dongo, explains the incidences.
Because when you are recruited, there's a screening process whereby you put the rightful person who qualifies for the skills, knowledge, and attitude. But the people who are brought here are the hand-picked people who did not pass through public service process. And that is wrong, because they will mess tomorrow. How will we put that mess?
The locals cite that cases of missing names in the voters register may occur.
Seen so many incidences where people come here, they do wrong things, eventually people's names are misplaced. Residents have to walk long distances to look for where they can go and vote. So we wanted people who are residents.
We have very many unemployed youths in the area. Those youths are here dormant. They have nothing to do, and we even heard over the radio when they were advertising this. Our youths applied and they were not given chance.
That is it lawful for a civil servant to work again as the sub-county supervisor?
The returning officer, Eric Gimei, concedes that the complaints by the locals are valid. He, however, dismissed claims by the locals that there are some public servants that have been recruited to carry out the exercise.
Because I say I haven't got any complaint from my supervisors. It's from now you who are part of us. That's why we are together and partnership. So I'll follow it up and say it's not proper to delegate because your person not trained to do that work. In any case, the training we have been having training.
The verification of the National Voters Register and identification of persons with disability at the village level is ongoing nationwide, purposely to confirm the particulars of voters on the National Voters Register at the village level.
It's time for us to take another short break, but we will return with more news. Stay with us.
Does heartburn stop you from eating the things you love? Eating too fast, alcohol or spicy food can trigger acidity, heartburn, indigestion or flatulence. Your best bet is Better Cool. Better Cool works fast to relieve acidity, heartburn and indigestion. Trust Better Cool. Enjoy life.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
This weekend on UBC.
My name is Nkaiv Hannington, winner of the NSSF Friends with Benefits Season 2.
Congratulations, Hannington!
I used my winnings to boost my agricultural production and give a chance to the people in my community to work.
So join us this year for the third season of the NSSF Friends with Benefits, as 16 Ugandans share inspirational stories on how they use their NSSF benefits to do life-changing things. So tune in every Sunday with your host, Gaetano and I, and special new host, Uncle D. It's another incredible display. It's the NSSF Friends with Benefits.
And that's not all. You have the power to vote for your favorite stories to win up to 55 million shillings, just like Huntington. This show is brought to you by
NSSF, a better life.
Welcome to business. Now, the National Logistics Platform has a concern about the level of consultation in the regional logistics sector. Their concerns follow the directive by the Kenyan government on the pickup point of the container cargo destined for the Northern Corridor. Uganda remains Kenya's leading trade partner, with over 80% of cargo for the region offloaded in Mombasa port and ending up in Uganda, as Dennis Sigor reports.
The Kenyan government recently issued a directive that all cargo destined for the Northern Corridor from the Kenyan port of Mombasa to be collected from the standard gauge railway extension in Naivasha town in Rift Valley, Kenya. However, this was not in consultation with Ugandan stakeholders.
There are still serious gaps in the consultation process, not only between Kenya and Uganda or within the region, but even with our governments. The gaps are serious, and that is what we're trying to focus on at the platform level, to get everybody under one voice. Because if we dialogue under one voice, then our voice is bigger.
As cargo is moved from the road to rail as planned, there are many issues that need to be addressed for an efficient flow of goods.
As a freight forwarder or as the cargo owner, you have to move the container from the facility around, they say, you said 46 kilometers, they say 34 kilometers to where the meter gauge is. But then what we don't know is what happens to customs procedures in that. Will you have to do a ponding when you do that? What is there equipment available at the terminal in Naivasha? Is there a terminal in Naivasha in the first place?
These were among issues deliberated at the stakeholder workshop for the development of modern and cost-efficient freight logistics systems, an initiative spearheaded by the Ministry of Works and Transport in partnership with Trademark East Africa.
The study, we are now discussing the interim report. So the views from the stakeholders meeting of today will help us to finalize the interim report, and then we will be proceeding to finalize the report in the next 2 months.
With this research and studies, it gives us information which we can use to inform government, to inform development partners, and even the private sector that this is what's on ground, and we make the appropriate decisions for an efficient logistics system.
The envisaged corridor will focus on 2 roads, Kasese-Kampala-Tororo and Tororo-Gulu-Pakwach. It will include operations of the existing meter gauge railway and the standard gauge railway. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Thank you very much there, Dennis Sigo. Now, as Uganda progressively adopts new technology, it is becoming necessary to create an able policy framework that enables business and communication to thrive securely. As Mark Arnold Wodulo discusses a range of the IT themes at this year's Intellectual Property, Technology and Innovation Symposium, he joins Lawrence Muthoga, Microsoft's Africa Program Manager.
In the event that artificial intelligence is making its way into some African countries, the second annual Symposium on Intellectual Property, Technology and Innovation is seeking ways that technology can solve some of Africa's unique problems.
I took a picture just now, and when I was uploading it, it said, "Oh, this is your friend," and it was cool. Every time social media pulls up someone's face and says, "I'm suggesting this is a person," to me that blows my mind, just because how does it know that this is happening?
Artificial intelligence is basically technology that allows, that can perceive and learn based on an existing data set. And so what African countries and even African businesses need to do is find new ways or new solutions to their existing problems that heavily rely on data. And so if we have good data and we have a clear problem that we can solve, then AI can act as that bridge between the data and the solution.
Africa's mass technological adoption has raised another concern, which is cybersecurity. And the experts are discussing what exactly are we going to do to make sure that our information is safe.
A lot of people use these systems and they don't know what kind of data they're putting out. They don't know how to protect themselves. And so the first thing people need to do is learn how to protect themselves. It's how to have complex passwords, how to enable things like two-factor authentication. And the good thing is more and more companies are baking in security features into their applications, into their devices. Take any modern day phone and you're able to lock it in multiple ways, and that's just one example.
Blockchain technology's role in driving the fourth industrial revolution is another topic that has been discussed. However, one question comes to mind: why is the adoption of cryptocurrency still a challenge?
I think one of the key reasons cryptocurrency hasn't seen as much growth across the world is, firstly, it's a massive shift from the current fiscal policy. If you think about it, we are asking people to move from money that they can touch and feel and hold to a currency they can't see. But the second thing also has to do with the laws and the legal frameworks in countries. What cryptocurrency enables is anonymity. It allows you to move money around without having to reveal yourself. But if you look at it from a fraud perspective or from a security perspective, that makes it very easy to use cryptocurrency for nefarious purposes as well. And so we do not currently have the legal frameworks to enable the use of cryptocurrency.
Uganda's information technology policy, backed by the Ministry of ICT, is on the verge of consolidating various aspects that go as far as communication and cybersecurity, among others. Reporting for UBC TV, Wadulo Mark Arnold in Kampala.
Well, it's time for us to see how the shilling is faring on our forex market. And on the international scene, the UK Parliament has passed the Brexit deal but rejected the timetable. Let's hear more from our CGTN partner.
A bitter-sweet result for the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. For the first time, parliamentary support for the principle of his Brexit deal, and then the bad news. Members of Parliament roundly rejected the speed at which he wanted to push through his deal. Defeated, the Prime Minister immediately got to his feet to announce that Brexit was being put on hold. So Johnson's government and Brexit again thrown into chaos. With a matter of days before Britain crashes out of the European Union, no trading arrangements and little indication of what comes next. All eyes now on Brussels, where it's anticipated they will allow the UK more time. While there's a growing frustration within the EU at the 3.5 years of Brexit confusion, there's no enthusiasm to be seen as forcing a no-deal Brexit on Britain. Boris Johnson's parliamentary options then shutting down.
One choice, of course, is to engineer a general election fought along the lines of the people against Parliament, although under the British system that is quite difficult. However, it is looking ever more likely that Britain is moving towards a Christmas Brexit election. The only question being, what result will Santa be bringing?
Well, we start off with FIFA rankings. In the sports segment, Uganda Cranes moved a place to 79th position in the latest FIFA rankings released Thursday afternoon. Uganda, however, remains the 16th in Africa while retaining their top spot in the CECAFA region that has Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Burundi, South Sudan and others. Uganda has played 3 games since the last grades were revealed on September 19th, 2019, beating Burundi home and away in the CHAN and 1-0 away win against Ethiopia in an international friendly. Uganda's highest rank was 62nd in January 2016, while they achieved their lowest 121st in July 2002. Neighbors Kenya have dropped a place to 108th position. Rwanda and Tanzania are 129th and 133rd respectively. Uganda's opponents in Africa Cup of Nations, Burkina Faso, moved a place to 60th. Malawi remained 124th, while South Sudan are one of the big movers after climbing 11 places to occupy 162nd position. Now, Uganda Olympic Committee will this weekend host its 5th Olympic Values Literacy Contest with over 125 students from 25 schools expected.
It is important in many sports competitions. The International Olympic Committee, through its affiliates, tries to popularize sport on its ability to achieve more than winning. This is done through many avenues, but notably the Olympic Values Literacy Contest that Uganda hosts this weekend at James Cambridge International School in Butavika.
We used to have schools competing against each other. We're now having teams that are comprised of all the schools. So when all the students come, we put them into different teams. This is in the Olympic spirit of friendship, for people to make new friends, to learn from each other, and be able to represent the Olympic values. So the event will have a debate, there will be an essay competition, there will be some quizzes. The idea is we're using sport to stimulate the mind and be able to appeal to maybe students who don't engage in sport but are interested in sport, and we can use the mind to promote Olympic values.
The students will randomly be organized under the 5 values, which are respect, pursuit for excellence, joy of effort, body, will, mind and friendship. They will then compete in 5 different contests, mainly poetry, essay writing, public speaking, quizzes and debate, with all deliberations focused on the 5 values. The best public speaker from the event will represent Uganda at the International Public Speaking Competition in the United Kingdom next year, with the best from each gender in the debate heading to Greece for the Youth Olympics Values Camp in June 2020. Schools like Bishop Cyprian Kihangire, Aga Khan, King's College Budo, Ntare School and St. Peter's in Zambia are expected to send representatives. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
And in pool, Uganda's senior pool team has arrived in South Africa, where they contest the 2019 All Africa Pool Championship that starts on Friday in Mpumalanga region. The team of 14 includes 6 men and 8 women at the championship that Uganda won on home soil in 2016. The men's team has Alfred Gumikiriza, Simon Lubulwa, Geoffrey Setumba, Ibrahim Sejemba, Joseph Kasozi and Caesar Chadinga. The women are led by Seed 1, Rita Nimosima, Vicky Namuyanja, Rashida Mutesi, Faith Amina, Lukia Naiga, Sharon Mirembe, Angela Businje and Zaimat number 4. Information we gathered is that many on the team, but notably Lukia Naiga and Rita Nimsima, had suffered some complications abroad, but hope is that they will be fine before action starts on Friday. By news time, 8 countries, including Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Swaziland, had confirmed participation in the tournament, whose team and individuals best get hefty cash prizes. Well, that's all we had time for, but before we do sign out, let's have the recap on our headlines. In our top stories tonight, relatives to slain Maria Negirinya testify in police court. 300 arrested in police raid on downtown shops, stolen electronics and motorcycles are seized. On the international scene, Fast Russia-Africa Summit to strengthen trade and bilateral relations. And in sports, Uganda moves a place higher in FIFA rankings. Well, that's it from us. Thank you so much for choosing UBC TV and News Tonight in particular. My name is Patricia Lokoma. On sign language, it has been Mugalu Mohammed. From the entire news team, it's a good night.
Hi, dear friends of UBC and those who are watching us Awaken Your Faith. Welcome to our program. I have a special verse for you. Read it with me. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Proverbs 22:4. You can see, in order for you to have life, you need to humble yourself before God. There is a proud one called Lucifer that lost his position in heaven. Today he lives here on earth tormenting us, trying to make us to fall in the same sin of pride. And because of that, maybe you are not able to see God in your life. Watch now what God did in the life of this person, and I'll come back to you with a prayer.
At the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God.
My name is Drupio Proskovia. I had problems with anger. I was very angry because of the rejection I felt from the father of my daughter. And I also had severe back pain which made me spend a lot of money. I moved to like 3 hospitals, looking for treatment, doing CT scan, also physiotherapy, but all in vain. The pain was still there. I was very stressed. I actually lost hope in my love life. I also lost desire in marriage because of the rejection I felt from the father of my daughter. My worst moments were when I was falsely accused by a loved one that had done witchcraft. How I came to church, there was a friend of mine who had problems, so I decided to support and accompany her to the church because she was invited by an assistant of the church. And while I was there at church, I realized that I could be able to also seek for help from there because I really needed help from God. I was taught the chain of prayer, how to be a faithful tither. I also participated in the fast of Daniel so that I could be able to seek the Holy Spirit. Well, my life today is peaceful. I am happy, I am joyful. Now I have a lot of time with my daughter, unlike before, and I have also hope in my love life. I like to glorify God because of the healing that I got, and I am a happy person, joyful and peaceful.
Join us for a moment of prayer.
Let us now humbly call upon God and ask His help. He's willing to change our lives. My Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus, in humbleness we come before you. I know, my Father, we have just a short period of time to pray for this person. However, I know that this problem can vanish just with this simple prayer. Lord, because when we humble ourselves before you, you are able to change. My Lord, I know people commit mistakes. They commit mistakes, they commit wrongdoings, they go in the wrong directions because they are lost in this world. Have mercy on them. Visit this person that prays with me. Maybe this person, my Lord Jesus, have lost completely confidence. This person has nowhere to go. But right now, with this prayer, visit him or her. In Jesus' name, amen. Let us drink from this water. My friends, find life with Jesus. He's willing to change your life. And I would like to challenge you, you that suffer with witchcraft, you that suffer because your family or you went to a witch doctor, you went to the dark world, you made a pact with evil. I'm inviting you for this Friday at the Universal Church for us to break this covenant and to give you life that He promised to give to us. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by Mega Masape from Airtel is back. And everyone, we mean everyone, gets a bonus.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Faced with an escalating war between Hong Kong's rival drug lords, the government launched Project 701, the creation of a biologically enhanced commando force. A serum injected into the nerve centers of the brain gave the 701s superhuman strength and an almost complete immunity to pain. There were side effects to the experiment. Some of the commandos became mentally unstable, and when one killed 10 officers in a psychotic rage, the decision was made to abort the project and terminate all the 701s. Yes, I was one of them. The government scientists had taken away our sense of pain, of fear, our feelings, much of what it meant to be human. Now they wanted our lives. But our commander suspected what they were up to, and he enlisted me in a desperate plan to get the 701s out before the hammer fell. It's time to start the show. We'll skip the long goodbyes. I'll keep them busy while you and the others get out. I'm the only hope you've got. And don't worry, Kayleen. If I don't get out with the rest, at least I'll have died. On my own terms.
Goodbye, Michael.
Attention, you are in breach of security. Surrender and you will be escorted back to the research compound. Any action other than surrender will be dealt with by maximum force. Do the smart thing and give up. It's no use, Mike.
Today is my 30th birthday. That means it's more than a year since that night when I last saw Kaylin and the commander. I live in Hong Kong with a new name and a new identity, and a job at a library, something as far removed from my violent past as I could find. Sometimes I do wonder if any of the other 701s got out alive, but mostly I want to leave that life buried and enjoy the peace I found at last. That's Tracy. She works part-time at the library. She's surrounded by all the classics of romantic literature, and she still doesn't seem to have a clue. The old guy's my boss. A little odd, but basically he's all right. He leaves me alone, and that's all I ask. I like it here.